What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Scyushi, and today we're going to be talking about my best games of 2021. 2021 was kind of a crap year for gaming. You know, we didn't really have that many games that even made it onto my list. I couldn't even come up with a top 10. We're only going to be talking about 7 games today because I couldn't even find 3 more games that I thought were worthy enough for my list. And I was really critical with this, okay? These are games that stood out to me as being solid ass experiences, but on top of that were the games that I have personal experience with. Now, that said, there are 3 other games that we are going to talk about very briefly, and that's 3 games that are on the official Game of the Year awards that I disagree with. That is going to be Deathloop, Ratchet Clank, and It Takes Two. Now, with Deathloop and Ratchet Clank, I feel like these games were only on the Game of the Year list because of the fact that they were AAA quality, right? You know, we had a year of crappy ass games like Battlefield, Call of Duty, Far Cry 6. These games came out by AAA publishers and were just fundamentally broken, you know, or copy and paste of other games that they already created. There was nothing new to the table. And so I feel like Deathloop and Ratchet Clank kind of stood apart from those games, and that's why they were higher on the list. But if Deathloop is going to be on the list, then Hitman needs to be on the list, because Hitman was arguably a better game that ended up presenting similar mechanics. Because I feel like Deathloop and Hitman are very similar to one another, where you're dropped into a big open area and you have to kind of complete everything all in one clean run. Obviously, Deathloop having the roguelike aspect where when you die, you go back to the beginning, and then you end up taking some upgrades with you to slowly end up making your experience a lot easier to end up obtaining. And Ratchet Clank, though obviously an insane experience and a great time, generally didn't add anything new to the pile. It was just another Ratchet & Clank game. So from my own opinion, I believe that both of these games should be stricken from the record. And then just so that we're not here for 20 minutes talking about how much I hate It Takes Two, I'm just gonna say that It Takes Two is Lego Batman, and I don't know why so many people are in love with this game, because me and Mariko tried playing it out and we were just bored out of our mind with the story, and the gameplay was crap. Okay, there, I said it. Let's move on before everybody gets mad at me. So starting at number 7, my favorite games of the year was Psychonauts 2. I never played the first one, so I have no nostalgia going into this, but my God, this game was amazing. Like, seriously, the world was some of the most inventive level design I've ever seen, because the whole premise of the game is that you're a person who can go into the minds of other people, and then the levels that you play are based on their psychology. So one person's a barber, so the entire level is themed after hair. Another person is a musician, so the entire level is themed after music and psychedelic mushrooms. The main story, I didn't really know what the was going on. You kind of had Morgana, I think that's what her name was, who was like this big evil being, but then at the end of the day she was just misunderstood. And I mean, generally speaking, I feel like it was a good story, just the execution of it was kind of all over the place for me, and I lost track of what was going on multiple times. You know, the main story was just kind of like, what's happening? Number 6 on my list, which I frankly don't think this is going to be on anyone's Game of the Year list but mine, is New World. This MMO came and went, dude, but goddamn, when it lasted hard. Me and my friends were addicted to this game. We were playing it like all night, losing sleep over it, because what does this game do that other games don't do? Well, it's very similar to RuneScape, because it's just about doing a task repeatedly so that numbers end up increasing on your character. Chop down trees, your tree cutting goes up. Hit rocks, your rocks go up. Yeah, or mining goes up, your rocks go up. There was a quote that one of my friends ended up doing that I thought was hilarious, where he was kind of, I don't know, he was kind of in rough shape. He was in a bit of a depressing mood, and he was talking with my brother, and then he sends my brother a text. Well, dude, I'll feel a lot better after I spend 50 hours chopping down trees to get my wood cutting up. And we all just laughed and thought that was really, really good, because it's like, yeah, that's basically what New World is it's a very, very good distraction, and I'd highly recommend the game to anybody. I mean, it's kind of a broken ass mess, and not in a good way kind of broken, because Amazon just keeps breaking everything with it, because yes, it was made by Amazon. But right now, the only reason I stopped playing it is because I maxed out my character, and I'm kind of just waiting for horses, the new area, and the new weapons, more particularly the greatsword, and then I'll go back to it. Number 5 on my list is the Diablo 2 remake. Holy shit, I had such a good time playing this. The thing is, this was a very difficult game for me to play because I felt so nostalgic playing through this game. I had such a genuinely childish good time playing through it that I really wish other people could appreciate, but nobody can because you had to play the original. You had to be around for those old days of LAN parties and playing with your friends next to each other to be able to appreciate what Diablo 2's remake was doing. Because for anybody else in this day and age, you got Path of Exile, we've got Diablo 4 coming. There is no reason to even play Diablo 2, frankly speaking, because it's been obliterated by other games similar to the genre. But Diablo 2 for me will always end up holding a special place in my heart. And the remake, though it crashed a bunch and was not like 100% a solid experience and does definitely have some balancing issues, so did the original, and that's exactly why I loved it. Number 4 on my list is Valheim. Get Valheim. If you're playing on PC, you owe it to yourself to get Valheim. This game might not look like much, but it is simplistically deceptive, okay? It's kind of one of those games like Terraria, where, you know, you played Terraria, but you didn't think it was going to be anything amazing, and then it turns out to be one of the greatest games of all time. Valheim is one of those games. I feel like a lot of Game Awards, like nominees and stuff, like whether it's on the official Game Awards or just other channels talking about the Game Awards, Valheim's the game that people are sleeping on, dude, and I don't know why, because Valheim is amazing. It's got the same progression system that Terraria does, where you get up to a certain point with your character, and then oh, I can't get copper because I can't mine rocks, so I have to beat this boss who is slightly stronger than me so that I can then end up taking his antlers and making a pickaxe out of it. And that's kind of the game loop, while also being one of the most fun open world adventures I've ever played, just because of the fact that it kind of feels hardcore and easy at the same time. It is one of those games where it's easy to play but difficult to master, you know? And the terrain deformation, like being able to raise and lower the terrain, dig holes, and build houses super duper quick. Like, I found the building in the game to be the funnest aspect for me. Like laying down paths so that you can end up having improved movement speed or just a safer pathway in general. And everything is very aesthetically pleasing while you're kind of creating these roads and everything. And on top of all of that, you can mod the out of it and play it with your friends without having to have like some external hosted server. You can literally just connect to each other. I know that they're planning to get Valheim on consoles eventually, so if you're a console player watching this and feeling jealous, well, when it comes to consoles, you have to play it, although I don't know when that's going to happen. Valheim's just one of those games where me and my friends have played it off and on the entire year of 2022, and so we were like really taken aback when we were like, wait a minute, this game actually came out in 2021. What the hell? Because it felt like so much older, you know, because we just constantly are playing it. But anyways, the next update, they're going to be adding caves to the game, which is huge as far as the game's code is concerned. So I'm hella excited for that, and we'll definitely go back to Valheim in the future. Number 3 on my list is Little Nightmares 2. Oh, that's the only sound that I can emit that encompasses my feelings about this game. Because the Little Nightmares franchise, Little Nightmares 1, Little Nightmares 2, these are my favorite horror games, dude. Like, outright. I wish that they would make more. The developers have basically said that they're done with the Little Nightmares franchise, which is disappointing as all hell. But the publisher, Bandai Namco, said, nope, we're gonna keep doing more with Little Nightmares. So hopefully they don't ruin it. But at the same time, I'll buy it because I love the world of Little Nightmares. The story is dark but deep without saying a single word throughout the entire adventure. You end up having these bonds with these characters that don't say a single word, and it ends up having so much more of an emotional impact on the player than games where characters just don't stop talking. I don't know how else to say it. The gameplay itself, you know, is a solid platformer with puzzle elements and horror thrown in throughout the entire experience, and you never really know who to trust, what's going on, and I love it, dude. It's one of my favorite games. I've played through it multiple multiple times. Now, for my second best game of the year, I know that Mariko's going to be really mad at me because my second favorite game of the year is going to be Resident Evil Village, which I know for a fact was probably her favorite game of the year. She loved watching me play through that game, as you know, most of you guys and gals had as well. And I mean, generally speaking, Resident Evil Village is just such a good experience. This is a game where I feel like it earns a AAA title because it is a whole well-rounded experience. It's got action, it's got a great story with great memorable characters, and then it also has horror elements, and they step it up to 11 in certain areas. And there's a lot of lore that you can read deeper into throughout your experience. And Resident Evil Village is one of the only games in a very, very long time that I actually would say has insanely good replay value. Because what happens in Resident Evil Village is once you beat the game, based on the in-game achievements that you've accumulated, you'll end up gaining a certain amount of currency that you can then spend at an end-game shop to get yourself certain items that you can then carry over into your new game plus. So you could get like infinite ammo with a gun or a stronger gun, and then infinite ammo with that, so on and so forth. So I actually, I played through Resident Evil Village once on stream. And then I played through it again myself and beat it, just so I could get some of the extra achievements. And then I played through it a third time. Mario, and Luigi Mario. I played through it a third time, and that one I ended up doing on stream, and I was trying to do like a speed run of it because there was an achievement for beating the game in like under 3 hours, which I think I ended up doing that. Or maybe it was beat it under 5 hours, and I ended up beating it in 3. I don't know. Either way, it's a goddamn awesome game. It's a masterpiece. Just, ooh, oh, I loved it. And as soon as they ended up announcing that Resident Evil Village is going to have DLC, I got hella hyped, and I can't wait for when they end up showing that and to play it. Resident Evil Village also got me really hyped to play through Resident Evil 7, even though I don't know when I'm going to find time to do that. But a lot of people did compare Village to 7, and you know, obviously if I love Resident Evil Village so much, it reasons that I would love Resident Evil 7. But anyways, the only reason Resident Evil Village didn't make it as my #1 best game of the year is because this other game was just a little bit more memorable for me, and at the end of the day, I'm also a Nintendo fan. So, spoilers, Metroid Dread. This game is amazing. Anybody who's played this game, and should I say, forces themselves to play this game, because there is a lot about this game that is a deterrent and pushes you away. It's one of those games, it's one of those asshole games that fights back. You know, it's almost like, no, I won't let you beat me. And then you, the player, are like, "F you, yes I will." And that's the entirety of Metroid Dread. And then when you end up finally beating it, it's kind of one of those experiences like Dark Souls, where it's bittersweet, because it's like you're sitting there just thinking about all of the odds that you ended up overcoming, because Metroid Dread is a hella hard game, and I loved it because of it. It's probably one of the hardest Metroid games that there is. The story in Metroid Dread is actually really, really solid. And I felt that the enemies were amazing. You know, they do have a one-shot kill, which is very, very frustrating. But you continue right outside the Emmy's station rather than going all the way back to your save point. And the game has a lot of little things like this that incentivize you to keep trying, to keep going. The only two major criticisms that I would say about Metroid Dread is that there was 2 moments in the game where the lack of direction really hurt it. Because obviously it being a Metroid game, there's not really that much direction. You're supposed to figure it all out for yourselves. But there was 2 parts specifically where it wanted me to shoot a random block on the wall in order to progress, which I felt was stupid, and I was wandering around for like an hour or 2 before I ended up finding out where to go, and it turns out that it had no indication of showing me where to go. I just had to randomly shoot a wall. That's not game design, that's just sloppy. And then the other second big criticism I would have is near the end of the game, it kind of felt like Metroid was losing a lot of steam, and rather than focusing on exploration, it started to kind of be a boss rush game, which I'm okay with except a lot of the bosses near the end of the game felt like they were copy and paste of other bosses you'd fought previously. But it ended up all being worth it because the final boss kicked my ass like 50 times and made me forget about every other boss that I fought, and then ended up having an absolutely knockout ending. And I cannot wait to see that level of production with Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Dread might be the first Metroid game for a lot of people. What the hell is a Metroid game? You ever play Hollow Knight or any game that's like Hollow Knight? Metroid created that genre. That's why those games are called Metroid games. I'm really happy that Metroid Dread turned out as solid as it did, and I really hope that Nintendo takes it to heart, the amount of reception that Metroid Dread is getting, because Nintendo, as far as a fan like me is concerned, they hate Metroid. I don't know why Nintendo doesn't want to make more Metroid games. It pisses me off. Anyways, that's my Game of the Year list, and I want to say thank you all for watching. Really do appreciate it. Smash like, sub for more, buy the merch you want to support the channel, and leave a comment down below if you have your own list of the best games of the year. You can either just tell me your favorite of, or if you have a full-on list, go ahead, let me know, just because I'm curious how my list ended up differing from yours. Anyways, have a great day, gamers. Here's to 2022 and Elden Ring being the new game of the year.